Hey data lovers, so after a long time I am again back with another amazing tutorial video for all the aspiring data engineers, and I know you have seen the thumbnail and title and you have guessed it correctly as well that what type of data pipeline we will be creating today, that too within few clicks and within few minutes. So as a data engineer, we all know our primary role, that is creating the scalable and optimized data pipelines, or you can say doing the ETL processing, means extraction, transformation and load part. So we will be having some source of data, and after doing the data processing, we need to dump that data into the downstream system for further analysis. And when we talk about the data engineering, there will be many use cases. There could be very simple use cases as well, where you are just supposed to do the data movement. And if I talk about such common and most popular use cases, so bringing data from the transactional database like Postgres, and without even doing some transformation, or if you want to do some transformation, you would like to dump that data into the data warehousing service. And we all know that these days which data warehousing service is very trending and popular, that is SnowFlake. In this case, a basic problem you may like to solve, capturing the CDC events from the Postgres, like the inserted record, updated, deleted, these type of records, and dump it into the SnowFlake table, maybe in the 𝗝cie𝗶𝗶 manner or normal incremental or a full load type of thing. So this is what a very common use case when we talk about the data pipeline and data engineering stuff. And while implementing all these things in real, the major time we need to invest in the connectivity part, or basically setting up that connectivity from the sources to the destinations part, because there could be many different type of sources and destinations for which the connectors are not easily available, and you need to write your own custom connectors. And in the recent time, there have been lots of platforms who try to solve this problem, and among them Airbyte has got a different popularity, and the main reason for that is they have a very enriched library of these type of connectors, and you can use them. You can use the Airbyte platform to set up your pipeline within few minutes. And this is not it, you can even create your config based custom connectors as well. But in this tutorial video, we will create a pipeline to incrementally load the data from the Postgres to the SnowFlake. So you will learn a lot from this video. So make sure to watch it till the very end and follow this tutorial. And as I said, I will provide all the important files, commands, GitHub repository, dataset, SQL commands, configurations in the comment section. So make sure to check that out, and let's get into the tutorial. So for this tutorial, we will move step by step, and first we will try to configure Postgres in our local system. And for that one, I will be using the Docker. So make sure you have the Docker desktop and Docker installed in your system as well. So as you can see, this is the Docker file for the Postgres, a very simple one using the latest image of Postgres, and the username will be Postgres as well. And I will show you where to configure it in the Airbyte, but how to execute this one and how to make sure that our Postgres is up and running. And also we need to create some database there and tables as well. So I'll walk you through step by step. So this is the Docker file. I'll come to the terminal, and here what I did, basically in the desktop, I created one folder named as Airbyte demo, and here you can see this is the Docker file. So as you can see, this container is already up and running, and this is the Postgres one. So what I'm going to do, I will also show you the command that how you can spin up these Postgres Docker container. So for that one, very simple thing to do, docker compose -f and this Docker file up -d, and as soon as you hit the enter, obviously it will download that image and it will make the Postgres container up and running. So this is our first step. Now the second step which we need to follow, that is to get into the Postgres, and there we will try to create a database and a table inside that one where we will be dumping some data. So for that one, you can simply open this container. As you can see, this is up and running, and now I'm going to open it. So just ignore this part and clear open in external terminal. So this is another open terminal, you can see, or basically you can use this command itself directly from the terminal. So docker exec-it and the Docker container, and then bin asset. So right now we are inside the Postgres Docker container, and now we will simply try to open the Postgres shell as well, so that we can type those commands and we can execute the queries as well. So for that one, what you can do, simply write 𝗏𝗏𝗏-u and the username. Basically -u is a switch for the username, so Postgres, and you can see this is how the shell will look like. The list of databases, how you can do it, just type \l, and in this way it will give you the list of databases with this information. And this is the database. I already created it. If this database is not created, so for that one, the command you can use, very simple one to do it the way we probably do in the MySQL or any other these type of databases. So create database Airbyte_tutorial. So in this way, if this database is not created, it will get created. \c and your database name. And now we are inside Airbyte tutorial database. Now here we can use simple create table command to create the table where we will be dumping the data. And for this use case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the blog post data. Means imagine that there was some website or API you created, and that API is basically ingesting the data of blogs in this transactional database. So there could be minimally two columns, one basically the ID, and second could be the JSON formatted data, right? The JSON formatted data. So that is what we are going to create. So this is the create table command, and this is how the table structure will look like. So as you can see, table has been created. So here you can see these two are our columns, ID and data. Data is basically in the JSON byte format, and this is going to be the primary key type of column, which should not be not null and incrementally created. Now talking about the typical data engineering use case that I was talking about, let's say you already had your transactional database. So obviously there will be some data, right? And once you have the data and you are creating your ETL pipeline right now, in that case, first you need to do the historical load as well. Means whatever is the current data present in this source database, that also you need to sync in the downstream system. And for that reason, what I'm going to do, I will already create few records in this table, so that in the first run of our pipeline, we can do that historical load as well. So for that one, I have few dummy insert command, which will insert couple of records in this table. So as soon as I hit enter, so you can see all these records, right? In total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records have been inserted into this table. So our source is ready now. Now the next action item is to create the free tier SnowFlake account, and there we will be creating a data warehouse, inside that one a database, and then we will try to set up the pipeline. So in order to set up your SnowFlake account, you can simply type SnowFlake and just click on this first link, which is for the free trial. Just click on this one, and from here the setup part is very simplified. You just need to provide your basic details, your first name, last name. You can use your Gmail ID and any company name, role, and after that you can click on it. It will ask you to create a username and password, which you will be using to log in into this account. And also it will ask you to choose the cloud platform on which you want this SnowFlake cluster to get set up. It could be AWS, GCP, or it could be the Azure. So anything you can pick, and your SnowFlake will be up and ready within few clicks. And it will not even ask you for any credit debit kind of details for the free tier one. So once your free subscription is expired, then it will ask if you want to continue it and you want to use it. So I have already created that account, and I will show you that what important information will be needed so that you can create the connectivity from the Airbyte, and for that one will be the host. So as soon as you set up your SnowFlake, right, a cluster will get created, and obviously that cluster will have some entry point, means a host name. So that host URL will actually being shared over the email as well. This is how it will look like during the account setup time. So make sure to copy this host URL, because that you will need in order to set up the connectivity. So assuming that your SnowFlake free trial account is set up, this is how the home page will look like. There you will basically get the worksheets where you will be writing your queries, and also you can check the databases, all those things which got created. So from here you can basically check what all databases have been created. So as soon as you create your account, by default these two will get created for the practice and with some sample data. As you can expand, right, you will see these are the schemas within the database, and here you will see different views and tables which got created, and you can start using that one and try to practice. And here this worksheets component will basically allow you to write your queries for any type of executions. I already have few worksheets which I created for the testing. So this one, and I will tell you that what type of command you actually need to write here, how you can do that, because there are still a lot of things remaining in order to the setup part. And you can see these are the sample one which already will get created during the setup part or the free tier account setup. You can see this is how the queries are going to look like. You can simply practice it from here. You need to understand this SnowFlake cluster is actually up and running on the cloud platform. Before setting up that connection, you need to create multiple roles, right? You also need to create this database which I was showing you, this database, right? By default it will not be there. You need to create it, and inside that database you need to create a schema as well. Also you need to allow multiple permissions, like there should be some role, right, which will have the admin type of permissions, so that any other connection, right, which is using the same role and all those accesses, right, it will be able to create the tables and do whatever ingestion. Because once you created this database and granted all those roles and permissions with respect to the admin, so whatever connection is using the same thing, it will also have that admin type of permissions to do that. First thing first, let's look into that one, that what type of roles and other environment variables you need to set and how you can do that. And then after that we will create that ingestion pipeline. So I will go to the worksheet, and I already have this thing in this one, and very easy to understand as well. We are not doing any rocket science here. It's just creating simple environment variables and users and giving simple permissions to them. Okay, so I know these attributes look many in numbers, but don't worry, I will provide all these things and you will be able to access it from the link given in the description. So here you can see we created this Airbyte role. This is the value for it, and the username, warehouse, this is the database name, and this is the schema, right? So this database will get created. Inside that one, this schema will get created. This will be the warehouse name, and this is the user, right? So from the Airbyte, when you are setting up that connectivity, you need a username and you also need a password, right? And there will be some role which will have admin type of permission. So all those things we have created. This is going to be the username, and this is the password which you actually need to create. So for my connection, I will be keeping this password, snowflake@123. And after that, these are the simple SnowFlake commands, right? Basically you can refer all these things from the official documentation page of Snowflake, that how to create the roles, what are the syntaxes for it, and how to give all those permissions. So here in the first one, we created the Airbyte role, then we created the Airbyte user, and then we changed the permission of the role so that we can give the admin type of permissions. And then we created the Airbyte warehouse with this one. And after that, what we did, we created this database inside that warehouse, and then we basically gave some accesses to our warehouse as well, and then the ownership for the databases, and then simply committing these parts. So now in order to execute all these things, you can do a Control-A, selecting every statement and just click from here. So all these statements step by step will start getting executing. As soon as you execute this command, then you will be able to see this database, and inside that one you can see this is the schema, right, which has been created, right? So this is done, and by default this public schema as well and other schemas will also get created. So respective one you can use. So from the source and destination part we are ready. Right now there will not be any table, because this is basically the database setup related thing, warehouse related setup things. here you can see we did not create any table in our destination. The connector should check if the table is not created in the destination, it should create it by its own and then start ingesting the data, right? So our source, destination both are ready. In the source we have the data, we have the table. In the destination we only have the database, nothing else apart from that. Okay, now main part, the Airbyte setup and how to use that one. That is also going to be very easy. For that one I will go back to the desktop and will show you that how you can do it. So in the desktop I created this folder. So we will be deploying the Airbyte in our local system again using the Docker one. But for that one, we need to download the code base of Airbyte, right? So for that one, this is the GitHub repository, or you can find their GitHub repository link on their official website as well. So this is the GitHub repository name with airbyte.git. Or let me show you other way around as well. So what you can do, you can simply type Airbyte here, okay, and here you will see this one, right? This is their official GitHub repository. Okay, so as you can see, all the code base is here, and from here you can follow multiple steps as well. As you can see, deploying it as an open source, or if you want to deploy Airbyte on cloud, all those things you can do. And we will be actually following this step, deploy Airbyte open source. So do the right click on it, and here you will also see these simple steps. First step was to just clone this GitHub repository. After that, we need to go inside this directory. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I already have this one in my system, so I won't be cloning it again. Okay, so ls this Airbyte, now cd Airbyte. Okay, after that what we need to do, we need to simply execute this command, right? This is the shell script which will basically initiate each and everything for us. So let me also show you that what content is there. And here if you look at, right, this is the shell script we actually need to execute. So for that one, as soon as you just do this part, right, as soon as you hit the enter, right, what will happen, this is how it will look like, right? This is how it will look like. It will try to download the Docker file by its own. As you can see, I executed this command long time back, and from there this is how it will look like. As you can see, right, Airbyte, it downloaded this Docker file, and by its own it will simply initiate all those important Docker containers which are supposed to be there in order to execute this as a platform. So this is how all those components will get started. And even on the Docker, you will be able to see, if you have the Docker desktop, right, you will see all these web application related containers, because Airbyte is kind of web platform, right? Or you can even use their APIs as well to do all your step, but we will be using the web version of it, so that from the UI itself we can create these pipelines. So you can see all these things, all these logs will start getting generated on your terminal as soon as you hit this command. Once that part is there, what you need to do, how you will be able to access the Airbyte platform. So by default it will run on the 8000 port. So simply localhost 8000 and you will be able to see the Airbyte running. So here if I type localhost 8000, so you can see this is up and running, and I already created a testing pipeline for a different data set, but here this is the new data set which I will be testing and creating for the first time. So just ignore this thing right now, that what all things you need to do here, right? We will be following all the steps we have done so far. So how to create the ETL pipeline in Airbyte itself? So in Airbyte we actually call it the sync, or sync means the synchronization of data. Okay, so we need to create this connection, right? We are creating the pipeline, obviously depends on the source and destination connection. So click on this new connection. Okay, So first it will be asking for the source. So if you have already defined your source, that is fine. If not, what you can do, you can set up a new source, right? Since I created it earlier, it is there, but I will be trying to create a new one again using the same Postgres credentials, so that I can show you that what all attributes you need to provide there. Okay, so type the Postgres, and as this is what I wanted to show, you can see the rich library of different source and destination connectors. So here I am interested in Postgres, so just click on this one, and here you will also get the documentation as well, you can follow. And this is the part where you need to give all these things. You can give the source name, let's say Postgres new source. This is the source name I have given. Host, since I am executing Postgres in my local, so localhost. And by default, the Postgres runs on 5432 port number, so we'll be using that one. So localhost 5432, and database name which we created, Airbyte tutorial. And then you need to provide the username and password. So username, you remember Postgres, and password in my Docker file I define as admin. So Postgres, and here password admin. Okay, so you can keep it all these things as it is, since it's a local one, but maybe let's say your Postgres is hosted on some other remote server or maybe anywhere else, then it might require some security authentication as well. So you may need to enable these SSH tunnels or these SSL modes, but for the local setup it's not required, so you can keep it as it is. And here what we want to detect the changes, right? We want to capture all those you can say inserted, deleted, updated records in the source one. So that is what we want to capture. So click on the setup source. So it is setting up the source and looking the test connection as well. So just give it a couple of seconds. All right, all connection test passed. And once the test connection is passed, means our source is set up. Now it's the time to set up the destination part. So destination part, what we are going to do, we will be creating the new one for your understanding. And for that one, let's click on this part, and you can see the most common use destinations like BS3 and another BigQuery, your data warehouse, and SnowFlake. We want SnowFlake, clicked on it, we will new destination. Okay, so this is the part I was talking about, and I showed you on the screen that once you set up your free tier Snowflake account, you will get the host URL for your Snowflake cluster, and you need to use that one so that you can set up the connectivity. So let us use that. So this is the only part you need to use from that one, and after that you can see all these information we need to create. So whatever role and the warehouse, the database, these things we created, we need to provide it here. So for that one, we can get the information from here. So these are the informations: Airbyte role, this is the role, and the warehouse, this is our warehouse, and which one is our database, this is our database value. So database, and default schema which we want this one to be set up as the default schema, and the username, this is our user, Airbyte user. Okay, and now obviously for the authentication and connection setup you need the password, but from where to set up that one? If you are not using that auth base or the token based connection, right, you can simply use this username and password. Username we already provided, here we need to provide the password. How we can do that? We already created this password for the warehouse, so just copy it and simply paste this password here, and after giving the password you can simply set up your destination, and it will just take a couple of seconds to validate it. Alright, so our destination setup is also done, very close to complete it, because it will give us few important configuration steps as well, that what type of ingestion we want to do. So it's loading all that information. So here you can see a few other important configuration as well, which will be related to the execution of this pipeline, like how frequently you want to execute it, or you want to keep it as a manual trigger, and also after that what type of ingestion you want to do. So let's define all those things. Here you can see in the replication frequency, so we will keep it manual, or if you want to schedule it for every hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, you can schedule it from here. I'll keep it as manual. And the destination namespace, you can keep it as it is, no need to do that. And destination stream prefix, if you want to give any prefix specifically, so I will give the Airbyte here underscore. So this prefix means in the downstream system, whatever table will get created, Airbyte underscore will get appended in front of that. So that is how we will be using this stream prefix. And destination, whatever we picked, that we can choose, or by any chance if we want to change that schema, we can do it from here. Detect and propagate schema changes as well, right? So if you want to do that from the source, if there any type of schema changes happen, you want to propagate all of them to the downstream system as well, you can enable this one, or you can simply ignore it, because that may cause some issue. If you want to maintain that type of consistency, means no schema changes are expected until unless you work on it or you approve it. So if you want to avoid all those things, so that part is done. Now here you can see this is how our streams are going to get created. This one was the previous one I created, and here you can see the different ways of syncing your data, sync mode. So overwrite means every time you are ingesting, so the entire table will get overwritten, right? And many other operations as well. So you look at this part. So I will be interested into this append plus dedupe, means if there is any new particular record in the source table, that should get appended, right, incrementally, or by any chance if there is the record and we are following the primary key concept, that key is already present in the destination table, so we should dedupe it, right? We should simply keep the one, right? We should not append it as well. So we should be using that one, right? And we need to provide the key here as well. So this was the key which we should be using, right? So for this part, so we have selected our dedupe key as well. So this part is also done, and after doing this part, you actually need to enable the respective stream which you want to get synced as per the frequency you mention here. So I will be enabling this one, and the interesting part to notice here that you can see this section of transformation, means if you want to add any type of transformations during this sync from source to destination, you can do that one as well with Airbyte. And that's what I mentioned in the beginning, that it has got a really good popularity in the market, and many companies are even expecting as a skill from the data engineers. So this will be a game changer, and this is something you should definitely learn. And after this video, my expectation from your side will be to try it out, set up your pipeline, provide that detail in the comment section that what type of use case you try to solve, and I will definitely feature that one in my next video, but you need to do that. So this part is done, and let's click on the setup connection. All right, so it's in the pending status. Let's click on this sync now, so that this pipeline is started and we should be able to see the data in SnowFlake. So let's click on this one. And here you can see our sync is succeeded. So 6 records extracted from the source, 6 records loaded, everything basic information you can see from here, but we need this information in the SnowFlake as well. So let's go inside the SnowFlake and do a refresh and check whether that table has been created or not. So in the database, this is the schema and tables, and there you can see Airbyte underscore blog underscore posts. This table has been created. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new sheet as well, and we will check the content inside that table. Means select star from Airbyte database dot which table, Airbyte schema, and which table? This one, right? So we did that and just click on it. All right, so we can see our data, right? This is what we actually loaded. So while loading the data, Airbyte added few metadata related columns from its sides for the extraction related job. But the main content you can see here, the IDs and all these 6 records we actually ingested. So this is the data. And another interesting thing we can see, we actually wanted to ingest everything from the incremental load perspective. What we can do, I can quickly insert one more record in the same table, and I will again execute the same sync pipeline, and this time only one record should get ingested in that table. So in that way we will be able to verify our incremental data pipeline. Okay, so let's quickly go back to that terminal, and here let me just put one more insert command, and I will simply change the ID part. And for that one I will come here and will make it to 7, and this title may be some 𝗍𝗏 ABC, and this is what we will ingest. And as soon as I hit enter, so one more record is now available in the source. But for our ingestion pipeline, we did not make it like auto triggering pipeline. Okay, so for that one we need to run it again, we need to sync it again, so that only the incremental data can be synced from the source to the SnowFlake table. So let's click on that one and trigger it one more time, and here you can see our second sync process is also executed, and this time only one record extracted and one record loaded in the downstream system. We can quickly verify. So right now only 6 records in the output from this table. Now again if we execute this query, now this time we can see the 7th one as well, and this is the data we can see here. Alright, so that's what pretty much I had for this amazing tutorial video. I'm pretty sure you have got the really good idea about the Airbyte platform and how can solve this type of very common use case using the open source tool. And honestly speaking, moving data from the transactional databases to the popular data warehousing services is a very common use case under data engineering. So this could be a game changer. So use all these learnings and try to impress your teammates and your company, your manager, everyone. So as a next action item, you need to implement all these things from your side, and you need to put it in the comment section, the use case you try to solve. And as I said earlier, I will provide my feedback, and also I will feature it in my next video. So if you found this tutorial video very interesting, then make sure to hit the like button and share it with your fellow data engineer friends as well. And I will see you guys really soon with another amazing video. Till then, just keep exploring data.